Just breathe and drift into these words, because as your unconscious mind scans the surface of these sentences, something deeper, quieter begins to listen. And as you listen, imagine now you're in a garden. But this garden, it isn't made of flowers and grass. It's made of beliefs. Beliefs growing like living ideas. Some have been there a while. Others, they're new sprouts. And some are just waiting for the right moment to be planted in the fertile soil of your unconscious mind. And as you walk, you might hear a voice, maybe your own, maybe mine, asking how someone just like you wakes up one day, feeling an unfamiliar lightness, a strength in their chest, a certainty in their eyes. They don't even know how or why, because something inside has shifted. You see, it always begins with a decision, or maybe just the curiosity to believe differently. Like the man who used to think he had to earn his worth, until one day he realised the sun doesn't ask permission to shine, it just does. And just like that, his self-worth grew roots deeper than doubt. There was a woman once afraid to speak up until she began asking, what if I were already enough? With every belief, her voice grew stronger, louder, softer, truer. Confidence, not built but uncovered. Or that time a young dreamer said, there isn't enough to go around. But then a strange thing happened. They met people who shared without keeping score. He laughed, he gave, he grew. And somewhere inside, his abundance mindset began to bloom like wildfire. Isn't it fascinating? The ones who feel most deserving act as if they already have it. They give freely. They care for their bodies. They rest without guilt. They pursue dreams without needing applause. Why? Because somewhere, somehow, they installed a new operating system. And maybe you're doing that now. Notice how the seed of gratitude becomes a forest of fulfillment. How one vision, clearly felt, can reorder your destiny, like stars arranging themselves to constellations. Now you might notice how strategies they become habits, and habits become identity, and identity, well, that becomes inevitable. Like the woman who visualized her dream life every morning, not to escape reality, but to shape it. And soon, what was fantasy began returning her calls. Or the man who whispered affirmations, not because he needed them, but because he believed them. Because reality is a mirror. And when you smile, it smiles back. And now, as these stories weave through your thoughts, like threads through fabric, you might find them looping, nesting, spiraling in deeper. Like Milton used to say, sometimes change happens before you realise it's even begun. Because what's more believable? That change is hard, or that change is natural, like a tide coming in? And perhaps now, in the background of your mind, a new question arises. What if this is already working? What if the garden of positive beliefs, self-worth, abundance, optimism, deservingness is already blooming inside you? What if generosity, vision, resilience, celebration, they aren't things you do, but they're who you're becoming? You've probably noticed by now, something curious happens when people shift deeply. They stop asking for permission. They act with certainty. They speak with warmth. They listen with presence. They lead without needing to dominate. They love without needing to possess. When people ask, what changed? They just smile and say, I don't know. I just woke up one day different. Because while the conscious mind was busy searching for logic, the unconscious had already begun rewriting the script. You're no longer waiting for success, you're embodying it. You're no longer pursuing abundance, you're radiating it. You're no longer chasing approval. You're overflowing with self-recognition, because failure is feedback. Emotion is energy. Curiosity creates options. Certainty creates attraction. Playfulness makes power effortless. And right now, maybe now, your unconscious mind is already flipping switches. Like someone rebooting a system designed not to survive but to thrive. And each new belief, each new trait, each new behaviour is like another keystroke in a new language, the language of who you're becoming. So maybe you don't need to understand how, because it's already become this new experience of who I am. And all the loops, the metaphors, the examples, they're not here to convince you. They're there to remind you that this has always been yours. This belief, this power, this way of being, it's yours. And you're remembering now in the way that only your unconscious knows how to remember.